Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are here, and happy Saturday. My name is Håkan Silvernagel. I will be your host here for this session of Azure User Group Sweden. So unfortunately, Jona is out traveling, so she couldn't join us here today. So I will take care of this session here on my own here. So before we start and introduce our speaker, I'm just going to show our code of conduct for our user group. So it's we should be nice and friendly, we should listen with purpose and be thoughtful, and we should be respectful to others. We should seek to understand and not criticize, and be curious and open to share our ideas, and be inclusive in our comments and questions. And if you want to read our full code of conduct, you can find it on the link to GitHub here on this slide. And if you are interested in having a presentation, we have an open CFP that is open all year round, and you can just scan our QR code to get the CFP link. And it's important here to mention that you don't need to be an experienced speaker. Me and Jona have long experience here of coaching newly speakers here and help them with their first talk. So as long as you have an interest in trying out speaking, just send us your submissions. And if you want to find out more and follow us, you should join our meetup groups. Then you will be automatically notified whenever we have a new session coming up. And traditionally, we also have something we called a short digital fika, which is a Zoom meeting, a very informal Zoom meeting where you can join and you can ask questions directly to our speaker. So you can join either by scanning this QR code or by going to that bit.ly link. And we will show this QR code and bit.ly link at the end of the session too. So you're very, very welcome to join. So now I'm very happy here to be able to introduce or welcome back our speaker, Uros Babic. Welcome, Uros. How are you?
I'm very fine. Thank you, Hakan, and good day and greetings from the rainy day from Belgrade.
Yes. I remember here from your previous session was a very thorough overview of security in Azure. So yes. What will you be speaking here? What will we be speaking about today?
Yes, I will present one of the most important topics in identity and access management. That is Microsoft Entra Delegation. And during this session, I will covering everything from role enable groups and custom role to privileged identity management and restrict management administrative unit and how it works in isolated environment. From hacker perspective, it is very important how to protect our identity and how deal with this actually permission model in Entra ID and how we define, how we access and grant and control access in our tenant. That is a crucial, that is very sensitive topic. And I'm excited to present and to be with you. And unfortunately, Jona now is in Ignite, but big thanks again for joining and inviting me for this session today.
Yes, yeah, the pleasure is ours here. So let me add your presentation here. And if you have any questions here to Uros, just post them in the chat and we will take them at the end of the session. So,
thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much, Hakan. Welcome everyone to the Azure Group Sweden Community Meetup and my session Entra ID Delegation, Best Practice and Use Cases. I'm excited to present. I mentioned it is very critical topic in identity access management, and I will explore. I will present in practical way to design how design securely and scalable permission model, how to manage actually privilege role in efficient way and apply with Microsoft best practice. What is agenda actually for today? The first on the stage is, of course, our permission model in Microsoft Entra ID. Permission model define with some structural approach, with strategy, and with some high-level architecture, tiering model. And in scope of that, I will explain role enable group and custom role, RBAC permission. Role mapping is very important in that way, but we must first of all to understand this model, because that is a key for Entra ID delegation and how we reduce risk in organization. So let's start it with that point of view. But the second stage is actually privilege role and permission in that way. And I will explore actually how deal with this model, because PIM is a cornerstone for managing elevate access. It provides a many oversight and control by privileged users, how to reduce exposure to threat, to enforce time-bound and approval-based action here. And my focus will be to explain role management through privilege identity management, admin privilege role and assignment, PIM activation. Very important to introduce last privilege consent, not only using actually assignment, permanent assignment. We can use just-in-time access in that way. And of course, PIM from groups, it is also very, very important topic. And finally, how to deal many organizations to delegate permission model. We define some boundary, such department, such region, geographic zone. Segmentation is very important to approve governance and prevents some permissioning in that way. And finally, I think on the 1st July is general available from Microsoft is restrict management administrative unit that is control how limiting which object administration can manage, and that is essential for organization with the strict compliance and the regulatory requirements. Because when his account is added, for example, such a restrictive management administrative unit, only users or group with the signer role at the unit level can manage it. For the tenant level, because I'm global admin, it is not possible. If global administrator doesn't have a role assigned in the unit level, it cannot manage the account with that unit. It is one example, but I will explain practically how it's work with a lot of best practice and everything relating Microsoft. Microsoft recommends implementing last privilege model with zero trust approach, leveraging privilege identity management to privilege role, and using administrative unit and the restrict management administrative unit for segmentation. And we following this best practice to be ensured everything is secure, everything is scalable and compliant with identity governance and everything. I will also explain, because that was a challenge from Ignite this year, new permission model in Microsoft Entra ID to introduce some several important change and enhancement aim to improve the flexibility and less privilege concept and with some key aspect. That is actually my focus for today, and I will start with some actually high-level architecture design, actually public for Thomas Neumann, our Microsoft MVP also. But it is very interesting because we have actually 3 tiers. The first is tier 0. That is actually from tenant perspective, global perspective, and our work because who is a global admin, security admin? He actually work with identity and secure admin environment operation, and that is the highest level where identity and privilege account are managed. Azure tenant management is directory tenant level, and we have some access control to manage cross service directory role, that is the global admin, privilege role admin, and etc. But settings rule for privilege access with session policy, with content policy, privilege access management is a challenge. And with privilege account management, we can create administrative unit for our privilege account. And of course, we use also some additional administrative unit. You can see on the middle of this slide, that is a platform management account. That is actually, we work with the daily operation in Microsoft 365 platform with configuration, compliance, secure store, and settings and maintains some common policy like conditional access, group policy, Azure policy, device compliance. That is actually work for global admin perspective. And of course, security operation with change auditing, with monitoring, with incident response. And that is all with tier 0 model. With the workload plan, we actually have specific services and work we are managed, and managed for Active Directory group is challenge because mitigate risk is very important, and I delegate in this model rights with specific workload, for example, Intune, Defender for Endpoint, and with the point of view services, we have device management with the Intune service admin role, and of course, Defender for Endpoint as admin is a very good example, similar to Intune. A privileged device have broader access and everything. That is actually in tier 1, but restriction is for Intune service admin, restrict access. It is not possible to work with the platform operation when we have some local team who work with that role. And for example, with platform management perspective, we have a security reader role with horizontal view across the entire platform. And finally, we have the last very important tier is user access plan, actually with some administrative unit for users, for device, and partner and API. That is a special groups that is actually with EU for partner and many applications. Permission model have 3 stage with the targeter back role, with specific role assignment, and we assign some privilege object using in tier 0 eligible and permanent assignment with role, for example, global privilege admin role with identity admin, but with a directory role action scope perspective. We have users, we have authentication methods, password update, for example. It is related with built-in role for global and privilege role, privilege authentication user administrator, and many other. All of this stage is connected with Microsoft Azure, and with the point of view services, workload plane management, some security groups, for example, and have in group security group membership for DevOps resource admin action or something like that. And of course, we have built-in Entra ID directory role and personal with the point of view management, some help desk operation, tenant admin have action with identity management in tier 0 model, and etc. And finally, we have a very important topic, how we deal with some scope management for Azure resource. It is very important because in a lot of situations we are using Azure RBAC role in administration model with granular scope of control and surface area. And we have at this stage management groups, assign role to permission groups, management groups, and they don't affect other management groups. In this scenario, for example, HR team define Azure policy to audit where resource and deployment across different HR subscription. But with the point of view subscription level, we must assign a role to subscription in order to prevent it from affecting other resource groups. HR team assign some reader role for some specific subscription without reading other HR subscription or subscription for another team. Resource group finally is on the stage, assign a role to the resource group so they don't affect it, other resource groups. Benefit, for example, for some engineering team is to assign contributor role, that is to someone to manage to test some, for example, database like in the slide, and test some web application or add some resources. In the finally, we have individual resources, assign a role to resource so don't affect other resources. And assign data analysis in Cosmos database, for example, account reader role to test some activity. And that is actually structure is hierarchy. The higher up is hierarchy, the wider the scope with the point of view visibility and affect the lower. But inheritance is very important. Root management group define Azure policy. Root management group define RBAC role access assignment to apply into a subscription and resource. Global administrator can elevate, for example, access to subscription, and management group. Monitor is top level scopes, consider isolation sensitive or test resource according Azure landing zone and perspective. It is very I will explain practically when I actually explain REST management adversity unit, for example, sensitive groups. And we have finally tenant level, and we have some local IT approach. Okay, what is allow activity, for example, for some local IT site? Local IT can manage users, can modify, can deactivate with the on-site administrative unit, manage groups, create membership policy related to site, delegate access to Teams, SharePoint, Exchange, perform password resets to provide basic support, manage device to assign the site. You can see all activity with the point of view monitoring to audit logs and necessary alerting scope to site. Actually, but no management users, groups and device outside site, no global tenant level change with that because that is my duty. I'm tenant administrator. I'm responsible for conditional access policy, Azure policy, no management privilege account, and no access to centralized backup recovery function across the tenant. I will explain in some example this when I go now in administrative unit. You can see now in that scope, for example, that is geo-regional. And now I'm in geo-region Europe with some users. Users have action with the groups and device. specific device in that groups, but user is a part of Geo-Europe administrative unit. And also in tiering model, I define myself, or some Steve Martin is a global admin, and he's responsible only for tier 0 control plane, but with the point of view other tier 1 and tier 2 here, tier 1 and tier 2 not have access in tier 0 model with the point of view administrative unit. But many action to platform management, for corporative device, for user account, for workload management, when we work with, for example, Exchange, Intune, SharePoint, we have dedicated security group for that. And our users, Emily, Jane, Marco, Michael, he's only here with the work. But for example, when I try to go in a sensitive group, and actually Steve Martin is he's responsible. I don't have option to any editing. You can see now. I try to reset password now, for example. It is not possible. His responsibility only members in these sensitive groups regarding restrict management administrative unit. And that is interesting because, for example, for some groups, I have, for example, a sensitive group in non-conditional access policy for exclusion. That is break glass, service account groups, security groups, Zscaler security groups. Never mind, but I will try to delete accidentally some groups from tenant level. You can see it is not possible. Yes, I am global admin. That is great, but it is not possible because that is the scope of restrict management administrative unit. And that is important and explain restriction for global tenant level change don't change anything relating in that scope. And finally, we have permission for local IT can manage users only with the EU and sign to local groups and teams with the point of view groups. With this, it is a site-specific groups with the point of view teams, including owner and members. It is possible to create and manage teams and exchange to share mailbox, to create mailbox and distribute groups for users inside, but not change for the global policy or transport role. And finally, we have some interesting from Ignite that is also announcing in Ignite that is actually granular model. What is changed? Microsoft replaced the older delegate admin permission, that is actually that model, with the granular delegate admin permission, which allows fine-grained control over cloud solution partners or external partners can do it in your tenant. And what is the benefit? Benefit is, for example, to reduce risk by limiting unnecessary privileges, to define expiration date for delegate access, to assign some specific role of broad admin rights. And actually, we have new built role for AI agent and Copilot with the rise of Microsoft Copilot and AI integration. Entra also includes some specialized admin role for managing, this agent with the last privilege concept and zero trust. This role is designed to handle tasks like agent lifecycle management, the backup policy, service code monitoring without granting full access, and actually update application permission management for some application. Application now you can request permission dynamically and runtime with some manifest Entra, but admin can update application permission through Entra Admin Center of Microsoft Graph API to be ensure application have minimum necessary access. what is the task? For example, I will go now in Entra to show you. Actually, when I go for application registration for some specific application, never mind, I have my all application, but it is important to create some API permission. When I click to configure permission, I am using a Microsoft Graph here, and I can create some delegate permission and application permission. My application runs as a background service on or daemon without signing the user. That is application permission, or option to need to access for the API from signing users. And when I click here, it is very important to know what is the critical permission, write control. It is actually, and if I grant admin context, I give you some maybe critical write role permission, and I must take into account this permission with the point of view delegation and everything. Maybe is not necessary to have, but actually write permission is critical with the point of view using some permission via Microsoft Graph with write, delegate write role for mail and something like that. Actually, that is how we understand this approach, and with some, of course, best practice, enforce last privilege concept, regularly review consent, and finally monitoring and audit application access. But how to reduce, don't give unnecessary permission, but elevate permission with a critical role. It's something to be very, very dangerous in that way. And we have actually some lifecycle control. We have inheritable permission also for agent, what I mentioned previously, identity. And that is in Microsoft Ignite was this year, because Microsoft announced Agent ID and permission blueprint for AI agent, enabling this inheritable permission for agent identity in order to automate compliance workflow and risk-based approvals for many sensitive information. One of the explanation, this new model, what is actually granular delegated admin privileges, that is simple explanation security feature that provide partners with the last privilege access following zero trust, of course, and it lets partner to configure some granular bound access if their customer workload in production and sandbox environment. And customer must grant last privilege access to their partners. You can, using this approach, partners, for example, who manage Azure no longer receive global admin role on their customer tenant, but actually receive lower permission to read some specific action directory by default. And the combination Azure Group customer is connected to with some membership using admin agent, and that is actually how we deal with the customer, two tenants, and assign some actually granular delegation role. It is very important. You can partition partner access per customer. With this approach, partner no longer have access to all customer tenants across Azure subscription through admin agent by default. That is important explanation. Instead that, you can use approach how to manage Azure as a part of separate security groups, which is a member of admin agent group. And I can create actually owner role based control with the RBAC approach access for the all Azure subscription for customer, and that is actually great. And one of the best approach and prerequisite our delegate permission model is to mapping some role. Role mapping is very important. What is the scope for administrative unit? What is the scope for restrict administrative unit? And I must define the scope. I must define the responsibility. For example, for entire tenant, but it is not assigned for local IT with the remote perspective. Security operation administrative unit can view audit logs, security alert, but with no change for the security policy for tenant level, and many other action. Role mapping and assign with the privileged identity management concept is crucial. And we are using actually in current model Microsoft Entra role assignment. Role assignment is a tenant scope, and I assign some specific role for exchange admin with just-in-time privilege approach. And role assignment is a single application scope, aren't added, and can be seen the list tenant scope assignment. It is very important because we are using cross-service role with security admin and security reader. List role assignment for the users in group, but it is important to reduce large number of privileged identity management in Entra ID. That is one of the tasks for many remediation, and we actually apply just in time the principle of last privilege and permission only for my action. I am exchange admin for today, and my PIM role expire in the 4 p.m. and after that I don't have any permission. But it is not necessary to use permanent assignment role. How we deal with this approach? I will go back in Microsoft Entra ID, and I'm using role and administrator part for that to show me all role. You can use very good filter here to show you only privileged role. Yes, apply. And for example, I don't know, a global administrator. I have actually free role, and I'm using active assignment for my role with Steve Martin, and that is a FIDO2 groups for user who are using actually YubiKey for phishing resistance when deal with conditional access policy. But end time is permanent. It is good. I think not. We can use role settings. We can use edit option here to define some period of activation of time. And that is actually just-in-time approach. I am available 8 hours from my work, and after that I will in expire. And the best combination is to using this approach in combination Microsoft Entra conditional access authentication methods, not of course legacy, but using with what I mentioned, MFA with combination with this approach. And after that, we can define approval, who is the approver for this section, and assignment. You can see expire eligible assignment, expire permanent assignment after 6 months. It will be maybe shorter for 1 month, for the 3 months, but it can be actually permanent. It can be eligible assignment, and with some notification by default. But we can define who is notified, send notification when members is assigned as eligible, as active to the role, and eligible members activate for this role. It is very important to understand this approach with combination, how to reduce. And finally, we use the best approach. We use, that is actually one of the Microsoft recommendation with the best practice. Okay, you can limit number of global administrator to less than 5. It is normal action, but limit the number of privileged role assignment less than 10. You can identify role, you can identify permission, you can identify a role assignment that is privileged by looking for the privilege level. Use groups. If you have external governance system, for example, that takes some advantage to groups, you also should consider assignment role to Microsoft Entra groups instead for individual users. That is very important. You can also manage role assignable group in the privileged identity management to be ensured that are no standing owners or members in these privileged groups. You can assign over to role assignable groups. The owner decide who is add or removal from the groups. So indirectly, you can decide who gets the role assignment. In this way, privileged role assignment can delegate role management on some pre-role basic approach. It is very important, and this allows to grant just-in-time access with this combination privileged identity management. What is best practice here to apply last privilege concept, to apply privileged identity management to grant just-in-time, what I explained previously, turn on multi-factor authentication for all privilege role without any compromise, to avoid any compromise, but it is very important to also turn on for all directory role to configure access review in order to revoke unneeded permission over time, limit number I mentioned with combination just in time. But it is the best approach when using custom role or something like that to use this privileged role approach with privileged identity management. But in many situations, we have avoided actually permanent role assignment. It is very important. And finally, we are now in administrative unit. That is hard. How to describe? It is very, very easy. Administrative unit with the point of view delegation, restrict permission in a role for any portion in your organization that you define. For example, you could, use administrative unit to delegate help desk administrator role to regional support so they can manage users only in this region. I previously explained practically how is used in this way, but we have actually many tenants with Microsoft 365, Azure Portal, PowerShell, Microsoft Graph API, everything with mandatory multi-factor authentication. Administrative unit can contain only users, groups, and device, of course, and we have action for user admin, groups admin, licenses admin, help desk admin, and I can create administrative unit for School of Business, for School of Engineering, security team, executive team, etc. And I can add business school team to the role along for this approach, for this scope. Actually, can be container for Entra resource and can contain only users, groups, and device, what I mentioned. That is actually a geographic approach for Europe, for Asia, for Australia marketing. It is separate with some specific role. And finally, we must, what is the rule of the game? Administrative unit management support scenario with some permission. We can create administrative unit. We can add user groups and device for the tenant level, but you can see add remove group dynamically based on the rule for the Microsoft Graph, Entra Admin Center, and Microsoft 365 Admin Center. It is not possible. Assign some IT staff with the unit scope, administrative unit, and something like that. What I previously shared with you, that is actually how we understand this approach. When I go back in administrative unit, I can see, for example, this approach for the users. I can assign members I can assign also groups. I can add specific group in the geographic region. Some device role administrator. I can share a role, privilege role, RBAC role, everything, and that is my scope when I work with administrative unit. But in other hand, we have actually a restrict management administrative unit. I mentioned that is actually many organizations have possibility to use strict security approach, like CEO user account. I don't know currently. Help desk administrator can potentially gain access in CEO account by resetting password. And tenant level, a global administrator can add users on security group with some financial data. Financial data, that is a critical data for organization. That is, with the point of view, compliance, very, very risk approach, because financial data access or on SharePoint. And with this approach, restrict management administrative unit can give us a law to protect specific objects in our tenant from modification for any incident by anyone other that specific people you can design. And I can define some specific use case for this approach. Okay, we must firstly define what is allowed and what is restricted by permission. You can see now global admin with the tenant level, no, it will be automatically blocked. Privilege role assignment administrator also, group user assignment, owner groups and device set risk management administration, it is not possible. But role can be assigned with administrative unit scope, with reset management administrative unit, and another regular administrative unit with all object of member. And when I go actually in some administrative unit, I can see my actually sensitive group, but I can use some, for example, it is same for break glass account and everything. I can add also some break glass account. Actually, that is break glass account. It is important to be different name, not with any to see with a point of hacker perspective that is break glass account. That is emergency account for exclusion in security group. It is very important if we have some issue on the global level, on the tenant level. It is actually recovery agent. It is global admin. It is with the point of view permanent assignment role, and that is actually exclusion in our conditional access policy. But when I click, for example, from my perspective to edit something, it is not possible. It is not possible, and it is very good. Try to avoid some removal from my side for some sensitive group, for service account, for Zscaler activity. I don't have possibility to delete these groups, and some incident is it is not possible, but it is very good approach to protect our sensitive account and device. I want to protect my C-level executive account, for example, with this approach. And actually, I have possibility to protect executive account and device. What is my idea? My idea case help desk administrator who would otherwise to be add a reset password to access BitLocker recovery key, for example, option. It is not possible. You can add your C-level users account to the reset management administrative unit and enable some trust level action who can reset this section. But with my point of view, when I go to reset something, I share with you exploit. It is not possible. And what is also use case? Use case can be implement compliance control only for local administrator. Not I want to implement compliance control, for example, to be ensured some resources can be only managed by administrator in specific country or region of site level, local level. You can add these resources in the resource management administrative unit and assign local administrator to manage this object. Even global admin won't be allowed to modify object unless they assign themselves explicitly to the role, scope, to resource management administrative unit, which is actually some event who is responsible for audit. And of course, we can also using resource management administrative unit for specific action or sensitive group. Actually, that is example scenario what I previously explained. In the summary, we have a lot of action here, but when will group object assign group members or owner group for the resource management in Entra ID, we have specific scenario, we have group object membership and action, what is unrestricted and what is restricted. Actually, other admins will delegate permission for Entra ID management for that is like this example, authentication administrator are able to reset password credential of eligible users. But service principal with graph API permission, sensitive permission, role management, read write role, and owner of role assignment, privilege access in assigned users with the group object management, it can be restricted in some situation, but restricted by default in other situation. Management of user groups is not restricted to privilege authentication administrator or global admin role. Difference, how we better understand this approach is actually explanation. Resource management administrative unit in Entra ID, when we have account to be added in some resource management administrative unit, only users in the sign role at the unit level can manage. With administrative unit approach, limit is permission only for the resource in that unit. But global administrator in administrative unit perspective can still have the ability to manage all resources. That is, in explanation, the main reason. How we understand, how we better understand. And finally, we have the Microsoft best practice. It is very important as the conclusion of this session today. With the point of view, apply the privilege, last privilege, assign only permission necessary for my work. I am Exchange admin, I am performed action today or tomorrow, never mind, to my work for 3 hours, 4 hours. You can use just-in-time access, you can use PIM, and I will be changed from eligible for my current role, and after that, when finish my work, I will be in expire to avoid use the global admin role to unless absolutely required. And that is important. Limiting role, scope. You can limit what users are risk and security principle or is ever compromised. Microsoft Entra RBAC model support over, I think, more than 16.5 built-in role. And their management role is manage directory object like users, groups, application, and also manage Microsoft 365 service like Exchange, SharePoint, and Intune. To better understand Microsoft Entra role, we must understand first RBAC approach and how to finding role object, what is privilege, we explain how to reduce large number privilege role assignment. And use privilege role with just-in-time access. That is actually the best. Turn on, please turn on multi-factor authentication for your administrative account. Your account is 99.9% likely to be compromised if you use multi-factor authentication. Stay secure. You can enable MFA on Entra ID role in two methods: with rule settings, with conditional access, and you can finally configure some access review in order to revoke unneeded permission over time. Malicious sector can compromise account. People move teams with some company, and after that, Microsoft actually recommends that use access review to find, to remove role assignment that are no longer needed. And that is important to emphasize. This helps in you as admin in many situations how to reduce the risk of unauthorized or excessive access to maintain your compliance work and standard. Yes, limited number global administrator, less than 5, limited privilege role assignment less than 10, use groups with actually what I previously, if you have external governance system to take advantage in your groups, you should consider this approach, assign role to the Microsoft Entra groups instead of individual users. And you can assign owner, you can assign the role assignable groups and activate multiple role at once using privilege identity management for groups. In this case, you can use privilege identity management. You can create PIM for groups and granting the permanent access to multiple role, Entra ID, I don't know, Azure, but make user to be eligible member or owner of this group. And just one activation is the best approach. You could native account for Microsoft Entra role, avoid some on-premise sync account to avoid unnecessary action in that way. But allow temporary access to administrate your setup approval work and require MFI for all activation. In conclusion, monitoring and security operation, it is very important. You can use audit logs, you can use sign-in logs to track everything. Azure monitoring is very good to track also these activities. Scheduling periodic review access to validate necessity of this role, and if we have some stale account for without activity 3 months, you can use interactive signing for this approach. And when I go, for example, in Entra, I can use users. I can find some action, for example, for my account. By I can use I can see this approach to find what is I can see my signing logs. I can see my actually work with user signing interactive log. Yes, data retention is 1 month. Keep in mind. After that, you can use integration your CM solution, for example, Sentinel with Entra ID connector, to have extendable data retention. But I can see what is, for example, interact for my action, and that was action to block security info registration for my conditional access policy. Signing logs, it is very, very important for your work. And of course, you can use many other solutions in order and manage view with tab monitoring and properties, and also you can see in settings some for example I don't know, I will try to find my account, and I can use manage view here to edit columns. I can add columns, for example, you can see now, last interactive signing time. It is very important. And after that, I can see this option. But you can see manage view, it is very important to edit and found, and if you can, situation after 6 months, an activity, everything, it is good candidate for disable this tel account. All of this action you can use with this many approach, but principle of last privilege, it is with combination with zero trust model, best practice for using Microsoft Entra role-based access control, and this best practice are derived from some experience with the Microsoft Entra Babic and experience with customers like yourself. But please, you can encourage to use this section in daily-to-daily operation to reduce and eliminate any risk with the point of view delegation and everything. Hakan, that is actually what I explain my idea to show for today with a lot of demonstration, but I think in summary that is the most important action what we're using to avoid any compromission and incident and suspicious activity. With the concept of delegation, it is definitely critical in organization, and you must find the strike right balance between all what I mentioned in this presentation today. That is all from my side.
Okay, thank you so much, Uros. This has been really great. So we didn't get any questions, but I have a couple of questions here for you. So my first question is, what would you say, what is the most common problem or mistake or a setting that maybe people have forgotten about that you see? What should you advise? What is one thing that people should actually look into in their setup?
Thank you for this important topic and question. For my to delegate many permission with permanent. I see on many tenants it is a permanent role by default. Why? Permanent role by default, and with a lot of permanent role. Global reader, for example, 18 or something like that. Okay, reader, but global admin, 10 global admin. I don't know, a security admin, owner for the subscription by default. Owner, it is privilege role, but why not to be contributor? To elevate, to reduce our permission and application. I'm faced day-to-day operation with a lot of write permission for Microsoft Graph. You can decide with the application owner what is necessary, but not permission, high permission by default, please. And how to strike a right balance to avoid to definitely to implement this best practice in the operation to avoid any incident. With hacker perspective, it is very good to be something like that, but to hardening our identity management with this approach with delegate permission, I think it is the most critical and most crucial in organization.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And the second question is, if people would like to know more about this, would you is there any learning path or any certification or anything else that you would recommend people to look into?
Yes, it is a very good question. Thank you for this question. Yes, that is actually part of Azure 104. that is actually Azure Administrator, but I totally recommended also Identity and Access Administrator. That is actually SC 300 course in combination, but also we have recommendation also with Azure 500 Security Administrator, Identity Access Administrator, Security Administrator, and Azure Administrator is strike a right balance between all explanation regarding this session.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Chair. Yeah, so we're about to wrap up things here, but as I said, we are inviting you for a short digital fika with me and Uros. And let me just post the link here. So now you will be able, if you follow that bit.ly link, you will be able to connect to our Zoom meeting here. And we also got some comment here that I would like to show. So we got the comment from Taku Susuyama, who says that this session helped me organize my thoughts about role assignments. I'm very grateful. So we are very grateful that you got valuable insights here from our session, Taku.
Yes.
So once again, thank you so much, Uros.
Thank you. Thank you. It was very exciting, and today to discuss, and I'm looking forward also to be joining the next session, Janet, and to be with us and discuss about all of this topic. Okay, I totally understand, because she was Jonah in Ignite, but never mind. We will prepare some amazing session for the next and discuss about also with the most important topic. But also you mentioned this session is also will be recording.
Yes.
And available. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so just keep, if you want to review this material, just have a look on our YouTube channel, and also have a look on Meetup if you want to know when our next session is coming up. We also got some more comments here from Iritus, who says, thanks you for a very interesting and informative presentation. And they also have a question here. I might have missed it, but do you have a blog where we can read more or follow you, Uros?
Yes, of course. I will share some useful links and blogs, prepare everything related, then don't worry about that, and will be publicly on LinkedIn very soon, in the next period of time.
Oh, that's fine. So just follow Uros or follow us on LinkedIn, and you will get the information. Right. So with that said, we just wish everyone a very happy Saturday, and looking forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have you a nice rest of the day and upcoming weekend. Bye-bye.